We just clicked like a switch. I felt that such less losing time with you. I'm sick, you were there, it disappears out of nowhere. Feeling safe, I do. When you don't like the weather, you could really borrow my sweater. I'd rather be cold as ice. If you are warm, we don't care whatsoever. Yesterday was so much better. I'd rather be cold as ice. If you are warm, we see to see everything how it should be. Staring at empty glasses, leaving it all behind. Stupid kids, so blind, afraid to do it your turn. When you don't like the weather, you could really borrow my sweater. I'd rather be cold as ice. If you are warm, we don't care whatsoever. Yesterday was so.
Hey y'all, good morning. Welcome back to another vlog. It's been a while since we chatted, so I figured I would take you guys along with me for like a day in the life and we can catch up and stuff like that. So I am working from home. I work from home a lot these days with this job. Where did I put that spoon? Hello? I just had it. Does anyone see like a rose gold spoon somewhere? Am I losing my mind? Am I losing my marbles? I feel like it's probably like right here somewhere. I can't even see it. So I know it's been a while since we last chatted, and as you can imagine, based on the last time we've talked and all, like there's just a lot going on. So let me try to fill y'all in on stuff. So I went to a place called Coffee Cabana here in my area. I'm about to move, and yeah, so I just wanted to kind of remember all of like my favorite things. But I always get this drink. It's called a Happy Hippie. It's a iced latte with honey and cinnamon, and I get with oat milk. Yummy. I think last time I spoke, you know, you guys knew that I was in the middle of like a pretty intense year-end audit. The company that I work for had just gone public, you know, in late 2020, had some material weaknesses, needed the SOX environment to be built out. Really, really intense. And luckily by the end of this past audit, we were, you know, we had a clean audit opinion. So definitely a highlight of my career. Obviously that was like a group effort. It was not solely because of me, you know, definitely a group effort, but like definitely a highlight of my career to have been a part of that. So now we're just, you know, continuing to build on certain processes and new things, whatever. Anyways, all that jazz. So yeah, so that is the work front. I'm sure I'll have more updates to give you guys in the future, but you know, things are in the works right now, so I will share when I can. I'm gonna hurry up and eat, and I'll talk to y'all in a little bit. Come on. Y'all, I found it. I don't know how I put that over there, but anyways, besides the point. Hi, cutie. Are you up now? You ready to get your day started? Are you ready to get your day started, love? You're still thinking about it? Okay. All right, Juju, ready for your insulin? Come here, baby. It's my sweet girl. Let's do our insulin, my darling. Good girl. Here, baby. Some water? Here. All right. I want you guys to see Juju. It's the end of the work day. I had to do this vlog over a couple of days. So I had asked you guys over on Instagram and on YouTube since we haven't been in touch for a little bit, I wanted to answer any questions that you guys may have. So let me jump over there real fast and we'll answer some Q's. Y'all got Q's, I got A's. One of the general questions you guys have been asking, majority of the questions are about how I'm doing, how's my headspace these days, general life update, work update, things like that. In general, I'm in a really good place. I think back to where I was a year ago. Let me grab my journal one second. I think back to where I was like a year ago. I'm just like flipping through the pages, and every now and then I'll like read back in my journal. For a little bit of time, I didn't let myself watch my divorce vlog. I felt like I wanted time and space away from that for whatever reason, but for me, that vlog was so cathartic for me, obviously. Yeah, anyways, I don't know what I'm saying. Over the past year, it's been like such a huge year for me in terms of like personal growth and my journey with like self-love. I had mentioned that in my divorce vlog, but I really, once everything in my relationship kind of like came apart, like it definitely was falling apart before we actually separated and got divorced. Like for a while there, it was kind of held together. I am grateful for it actually ending, because there was a quote that I recently, or like a song I heard recently, and there was like a line in it that really spoke to me. It said, "We're meant to be, but not meant to last." And like that really hit home for me, because another one of the questions that you guys had sent me was, would you change any of your decisions in life, or are you glad life led you to where you are now? And now, like a year later, I am so glad and grateful for how things went. I am grateful for the experiences that I went through the last 10 plus years, and even like my childhood and things like that, because all of that helped me become who I am today. And I'm so like grateful for that, because I have such a much better relationship just with myself. And I know that this is something I've talked about, like, this past year, about rebuilding the relationship that I had with myself, the trust that I had with myself, and the self-love that I had for myself, and learning to see my worth, not just in what I do for others, how I am in a relationship, or what I do at work, or what I do for everyone else. Like just knowing that I am worthy of love and all the good things that I give out to the world. I'm worthy of that just by being who I am, not because of the things that I do for a job or for other people. And I think that was a really big lesson that I needed to learn. A lot of, like most of my life, because of like how I was raised and the things that I've gone through, a lot of like how I viewed myself had a lot to do with like how productive I was and what I did for everyone else. And if you've been part of the Stephie fam for a while, like that is a common theme on my channel, which at the same time, like that's still a core part of me, but like my value is not solely tied to that anymore. Whereas in the past, like I always was like, oh, I need to be productive. I need to be productive. And, there's always, I think, obviously this is not black and white, right? There has to be something in the middle. And I think that it is like, you need to find a balance between being productive and then also getting rest and like slowing down. Were some of the things that I've gone through in my life difficult, and I definitely wouldn't wish that on anyone else? Absolutely. Like, and my younger self, like I feel for her, because I just wish, I don't wish that on her, but all that stuff that happened made me who I am today. So I'm grateful for that, because I don't think I would be who I am without all those things, whether it was related to my relationship or just what I've been through, in my life as a whole. So no, every now and then I get a little bit sad with like the amount of time I used in certain things, but like regret is not, it's not very useful, like it's a valid emotion, but it's definitely not useful for much. So it's something that you just have to kind of like process and get through, but just like not to stay in that place. This time last year, it was really hard for me to envision me being in the place that I am today, like emotionally and mentally. Yes, I still have hard moments. Happy to be able to like do all of this on my own terms. And yes, I'm making mistakes and I'm learning from them, but I think that's part of life, right? Like before, I think I was so worried about making the right decision that at times I would just not act. And someone who I respect gave me advice recently about like, don't worry so much about making the perfect decision. Like just focus more on like making the best of the decision you make. And like that slight mindset change and perspective change has like given me a lot of peace with a lot of the things that I am currently trying to decide and figure out. It's kind of funny because like I feel like right now the clouds are going in and out, so the lighting's gonna be crazy. A balance between pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone while listening to your gut and doing what's in line with your values. Like there's obviously like a balance in all of that, but I'm learning to trust my gut, especially when it's like, it might be a hard decision, but it gives me peace. Like I know that's the right decision. For years, I kind of had this like really tight tummy feeling for a long time. I didn't even realize it. It was, you know, probably chronic, it was probably like chronic stress or whatever because of what I was going through. But I remember whenever, you know, we made the decision to split ways, there was just this overwhelming sense of calm that came over me in that very moment. And that's the feeling that I kind of like use to navigate me in situations. And again, like the decisions that I make may not be easy ones, but I at least know that I'm at peace with whatever decision I'm making. And so far it's been good. You know, like life, y'all know I view it as like a journey, kind of enjoying the twists and turns that life is taking me on. As far as like a general life update, we can start with Juju. She is doing as good as she can be. Right, Juju? Oh, she's like, don't pet me right now. She's trying to take a nappy nap, sorry. So she's doing as good as she can be. She's hanging in there. You know, I'm grateful for all the moments that I have with her. So yeah, she's doing well so far, knock on wood. As for me and my headspace, I've actually been in a really good place. I definitely feel like I trust myself a lot more. I have a lot more like love and compassion for myself. I give myself a lot more grace than I used to. Like this time last year, I was in such a like negative headspace about myself, the way I viewed myself. I felt like I was the reason for everything going wrong in my life, in the relationship and things like that. I like blamed myself about a lot of things. And I'll do a whole video on like what I did exactly or the steps that I've taken. You know, obviously like I think healing happens throughout your life. Like I don't think I'm ever, or anyone will ever be fully healed from whatever they go through in life. Yeah, so I'll talk more about that in a future video because I don't want to take up the entire time talking about that here. But I do feel a lot more like at peace with myself, and I feel a lot less shame, and the way I think about myself is in a much more positive light, and I give myself a lot more grace because I've come to realize that I give everyone else a lot of grace and I don't give that to myself. So I'm trying to I'm trying to treat myself like I treat other people. But one thing that I did notice about myself and that I'm like consciously working on is, you know, I went from putting all my worth, and I do this a lot in all of my jobs, but I would put all of like my self-worth into either my relationship or like how I was at work. And so I poured everything of myself into work, even though I feel like I achieved what I wanted to achieve. Like I could see myself falling into the same trap of tying my self-worth and my value into how others treat me or how others recognize me and things like that. And so I kind of struggled with that definitely in the past like 2 to 3 months as well. I think again, it's like all of this is learning experiences. I'm sure you guys are wondering, like on the dating front, you know, I was so focused on work for a long time, I didn't really have time. And I think, you know, we talked about this in previous vlogs. But you know, now that I'm not as focused only on work anymore, I did get on a dating app a couple months ago, or a month and a half ago, and I did meet someone. So, oh, pardon. I think he's very special, and I'm very grateful to have met him. For this to be like my first experience outside of like, you know, post divorce, I'm very grateful for it. Don't want to like share too much and whatnot, just simply because, like, you know, I think certain things should stay private, and that's how I like to treat that. So I hope you guys will understand. So yeah, that's the general life and work update. What are you most enjoying about life right now? Being able to slow down. And that was something that for like a long time, like maybe like 5 or so years, I definitely felt like my life was just like on this like speeding train. I felt like I couldn't like catch my breath, like it was always onto the next big thing. And I was like sad that I was not able to like live in the moment, or like able to soak in moments, because at the end of the day, life is gonna happen whether we want to rush through it or not. Like time is going to keep ticking and going by, and I'm really grateful for like being able to slow down, be present in the moments that I have now. I think because like I know the feeling of peace that is important to me. Of course, I can't feel that way all the time. There are some times when, you know, your peace is disturbed, but like I try to find that at least like a little bit of that every day. So even if it's like the dumbest thing, like, you know, not the dumbest, but like the most, you know, mundane thing, like looking at the sunset, like or looking at the clouds. Those are some of my like most favorite things to do, or just like snuggling with Juicy, or, you know, like, yeah, like there are times when I'll just like open my window and I'll lay on my couch and just look at the sunset, like, and just like enjoy the moment. Quiet mornings, either drinking coffee in bed and reading a book and cuddling with Juicy, or, you know, going on a walk with the dogs, or just like those like slower moments are so like special to me, and I look forward to them every single day. So I think that is it. I mean, on top of that, of course, too, is being able to, how I feel, be just like my authentic self. Like I don't need to entertain people who have energies that are not aligned with mine, you know. I think that's why it's super important for me when I, you know, in choosing a partner, I find someone whose energy aligns with mine and values align with mine, because, you know, I want someone who's going to be very selective with who has access to them, because, you know, time, you don't get that back, and surrounding yourself with people who's just like not aligned with you is just, I feel like, a waste of that. So I'm glad that now I get that. Like I am 100% in control with who I allow to be in my circle and who gets access to me. And that's not to be mean or anything, but I think, you know, like obviously be kind to everyone, but I mean like the people who you get to choose your free time with, to be super selective about that. And, you know, not everyone deserves access to you at the end of the day. It is what it is. And yeah, so I'm enjoying the freedom and the control to be able to do that in this season of life. What are some skill sets that an internal auditor should have? I think I have some videos about like internal audit in general, so I'll link that there in the cards, but definitely need to be organized, inquisitive, a good dose of professional skepticism, meaning you just don't take things at face value. You need to make sure you get evidence and corroboration. I also think that there is a quality of like interpersonal skill that you have to be able to like build rapport with people, so that people do feel comfortable sharing with you when, you know, things are not ideal, or if something, you know, is going wrong, that they feel comfortable that they can go to you. I think you have to have a good level of like trustworthiness, so you can't be someone who likes to tell everyone all the things, you know. You can't be out there sharing the tea. Now that I've been in industry, not just like public accounting, one thing that I think about a lot too is what is like the end goal, right? Like, so really you're thinking about, when you're thinking about controls, you're thinking about like what is the risk that's being mitigated, like what is the issue, and is this control or this, you know, remedy fixing that issue as efficiently as possible. Those are like some of the main things, but we can talk more about that stuff in a future video if y'all would like. How are you showing yourself love and grace on your journey now? I think one thing that I have definitely learned recently is feelings, especially negative ones, were not, oh, whoa, Juju just sat on the phone. We're not really, you know, supported or wanted or like openly discussed, you know, not just, in my previous relationship, like in, with my family and things like that, in a safe environment. If you've been on my channel for a while, I struggle with having very negative self-talk. And so I think being more kind to myself when I have those moments, because like feelings are valid and normal, and they tell you kind of information about yourself or things that maybe you can work on and things like that. But to like give myself that safe space to have those feelings and not feel shame or like make myself feel bad for feeling a certain way. Like feelings are one thing, but like what you do about them and how you act on them is another. Showing myself that kind of grace, because like one of my friends always tells me when I talk through things with her, she'll always ask, if it were me, would you say the same thing to me? And I'm like, of course not. Like I would never say that to you. So that's kind of the gauge that I use, because again, like I feel like I'm a lot harsher to myself than I am with anyone else. Another way that I show like love to myself is allowing myself time to slow down and to do like the little, things that I want to do. Like if I need to lay on the couch and watch The Office for a few hours, then I'll do that. Like if I need time to like reset like that, I'll do that. If I need to go and get a workout in because that helps my mood and like brings me endorphins and things, like I'm gonna do that. Also, I think it's like putting myself first in this season. Like that's one thing I'm like really grateful for is, for a long time I always put others ahead of myself, and to allow like to do that for myself has been so nice, and different in this season. And I know like one day that's not going to be the case, like when I have a family and I get married again and I have kids, like obviously that's not going to be the case, and that's how I'm wired anyways. Like I am kind of more of like a nurturer type of person, but it's been nice to do that for myself, at least for a little period of time, because I know there was a time period where I was kind of like a little sad that I didn't get this season of life, but hey, I mean, now I do. So I know what it's like to be a single lady now. So like, it's all good. How do you deal with grieving a relationship? That was definitely one of the challenges that I had last year. I would find myself sad at moments, and and it wasn't because I missed the ex or I wanted to get back with the ex, because that wasn't the case. Very natural to feel sadness whenever a relationship is ending, especially a long-term one, right? I mean, any, but definitely like a long-term relationship. I think that's totally natural and valid. Knowing the difference between grieving the relationship because of what you used to have and what you thought your future would look like, versus grieving it because you missed the person. And I think there can be a very slippery slope where maybe some people get caught up in the whole like, oh, I missed the person, or thinks they missed the person. There's all that back and forth, For me, like by the time things ended, I was, good and done. Because like, I think for me, a lot of it was being very honest with myself about what I contributed to the demise of things, but also to be very like, just take the blinders off and really see people for who they are. And not to say people are bad or good or whatever, but more so like sometimes I think we build people up to be something that they are not. And it's been, I've definitely challenged myself to just take people as they are and see how they are, like, and not try to mold them into who I want them to be. I think it's definitely important to like grieve what you lost. And for me, what made me sad was the future that I had envisioned. Again, it's like a matter of being kind to yourself, showing yourself love and compassion, and allowing yourself to go through those feelings and finding like positive ways to cope while you're going through that. Like it's gonna take time, but I would definitely recommend like putting in the work to go through those feelings. So like for me, it was journaling, it was reading things and reflecting on things and like, what can I do better? And talking to like people that I trust. And then in those moments when things were like really heavy, trying to figure out either like allowing myself to go through them, or like if it was too much, like finding positive ways to, kind of get myself out of just like being on a hamster wheel, thinking through things. Working out was huge for me. I purposely took myself off the market for, at least a year to be able to grieve and process those things on my own. I didn't want to potentially, you know, fall into the same thing with someone else because I was in a place of like sadness and loneliness. So if I could give y'all any advice, it would be to like, you know, really just take time to be with yourself and to learn about yourself before you try entering into something with someone else, because, you know, ultimately, like, the same things that you bring to the table in that last relationship, you'll probably bring to the table unless you really consciously work through those things. And even now, like, I'm constantly working through things. Like, I don't even know that things are issues until I get triggered, and then I'm like, whoa, like, I didn't realize that. But definitely giving yourself time. And again, time is going to be different for everyone. Just because, you know, I was in a 12+ year relationship doesn't mean I need to take 12 years to be by myself. And everyone's timeline is going to be different. I think for me, it was more, I wanted to work on myself because I didn't want to hurt someone, especially someone who, like, could potentially be something very special for me and for my future. So I didn't want to mess that up because I was, you know, not ready for something. Will you continue consulting? Yes, because I took a little hiatus, like, all my stuff got messed up. Like, someone hacked my website, or like took my website domain, so I had to update it and all this other stuff. So by the time this video goes up, I believe everything has been fixed. So if you want to do a coaching session with me or a friendly sisterly advice session with me, I will put my calendar link down below. What motivates you to stay in the gym? I can't stay consistent. I have a very big independent woman complex. Have a tendency to want to do everything on my own. Hashtag don't need no man, honey. But that is a defense mechanism because of the stuff that I have gone throughout my life. I know that. I'm working through it. Real connections come through being vulnerable, so I'm working through that. But for me, the reason I work out is because I want to be able to take care of myself whether I have my person or not. To be able to stay consistent in the gym, I think you have to figure out your why. And, you know, if it's something physical, fine, but I would recommend and encourage you guys to figure out something, a goal in mind that's not just because you want to look good. Like, it has to be something more, right? Because once you start looking a certain way, like, you know, then what? You know, I want to be able to carry all of my groceries without, like, hurting myself. I want to be able to carry my own luggage without hurting myself, you know, flipping over or like build my furniture by myself. And then also, I think getting on a program would be great because it helps give you structure. I personally recommend Strength Therapy Texas. They do virtual coaching. I did virtual coaching with them during COVID, and then I had actually met Adelina and did personal training with her in the gym prior to COVID, so that's how I know her. Last question is, biggest lesson or revelation you had this year? It's always been kind of a theme that we've talked about, but it definitely hit home for me this year is, you know, like, knowing that everything that is happening in life right now is serving a purpose. And I know I said this, I'm getting a little emotional thinking about it, but I know I said this in a recent vlog, so I'll link it because I saw it recently. But like, that is such a core belief of mine now that it helps give me faith that when I'm going through something really tough or difficult, like, it's serving a purpose. I don't know what that purpose is right now, but I know that it is serving a purpose, and that eventually it's gonna make sense. Eventually I'm gonna look back and be like, oh, that's why everything happened the way it happened. And this is something that I know is true because I've seen it so many times in my life. And like, again, life is a journey. You're never gonna like know the final state of things until you're on your deathbed and, you know, you're kind of like reflecting on how your life went, if you're so lucky, right? But for me, it's more about knowing that, you know what, I don't know why things are happening for me this way, but one day it's gonna make sense, and I'm gonna look back and I'm like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Because like, a lot of the things that have happened to me in my life, like, it don't make that much sense to me at the moment. I hate that this is going in and out, I'm sorry. So it doesn't make much sense at that very moment, but like, years later, I can look back and I'm like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Sometimes you ask for things, right? You ask the universe, God, or whatever you believe in, you'll ask for things at a certain moment in time, and if you don't get it, then you're like, why? Like, right? Like, why? Sometimes it takes time to see why. For example, for me, like, I wanted a certain thing to happen at work, and it didn't happen in the timing that I thought it was going to, and it still hasn't happened, but then it kind of helped reframe my mind where I wasn't fully focused on work only, and I was able to start enjoying life, like certain things wouldn't have happened for me, or I wouldn't have met certain people if I hadn't gone through those experiences. And like, you know, for me, I'm grateful for that. I'm so grateful for something not happening the way that I wanted it to happen. It led me to something that I think is, you know, feels right and is like going in the right direction that I am wanting to go in my life. That's definitely the biggest revelation for me, and it does give me comfort, like in the times that are really hard and really difficult. Having that as like a core belief of mine has been very helpful. So I hope if one of you guys are going through, you know, tough times, no matter what it is, I just want to encourage you guys that, you know, all of this is serving a purpose. That's not to say that you deserve the shit that you're going through, or that it's not as hard or it's not painful. But I think just remembering that, especially in those like harder, darker moments, I hope it gives you just a tiny bit, like a little ray of light, just to help you keep going. And if you are going through a hard time, you know, like my heart's with you, and I wish I could give you like a big snuggle, because I know how that is. I just hope that helps someone else out there. Anywho, that is my little life update Q&A. So I will continue to vlog for you guys. Things are gonna change again, and of course I'm going to share with you guys once the dust settles. But I appreciate you guys for sticking along with me on my life journey. And, you know, I want to come back and do more accounting and career type of content. So please leave any questions, comments, topics, or anything down below so that I can start getting that organized. Thank you all so much for just being part of my journey. I really appreciate you guys, and I'll talk to y'all soon.